Everyone, welcome back to the channel and to our favorite video of the month, completed pages. I am super duper excited to go through everything that I colored in the month of May 2024. So for all our new friends that may be joining us on the channel, kia ora, my name is Amy. I am a colorist based in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I am really glad that you're here, and hopefully you'll like what you're about to watch and you'll want to hit that subscribe button and hang around for more very random videos and live streams and all sorts of stuff related to colouring. But we have a lot to delve into because the month of May was officially my most productive month ever. I did 37 pages, which is incredible. And of those 37, I worked in 20 new books. So we did a lot. We did a lot in the month of May. Of course, it was Mermaid, which is one of my favorite seasonal prompts because I love water friends. And we did quite a few. So this is going to be another very long video. And it's going to take a while. It's also been filmed a little differently because I'm not currently at home. I'm currently staying at my lovely, lovely girlfriend's place, Samsara's. It is gorgeous, but it's about 14 hours away or so from where all my books are. So before I left on the 22nd, I pre-filmed completed pages for everything I completed up to that point of the month, with the exception of the books I brought with me. And then we're going to jump over to Past Amy, play that now, take you through all the stuff done up to the 22nd in those books, and then I'm going to bring you back and we'll carry on with the books that I have here and the rest of the completed pages. And I can tell you, because I have pre-filmed the first part of this, that this is going to be a long one. So grab yourself a cup of tea, grab a snack. We're going to be here a while. Again, biggest colouring month ever. Look after yourself. It's going to be a long one, but hey, I like long content. So yeah, let's go to Past Amy with bad nails. I currently have fake nails now and I feel much better filming with them. Yeah, let's go to Past Amy and go through what I had done to up until that point. So the first book I have is the Junimo colouring book. This is the Stardew Valley official colouring book. As you can see, it's produced by ConcernedApe and the illustrator is Kari. There is actually a flip through of this book on my channel. It is a really cute little book, and I did contemplate taking this one with me because it's a good pocket size book. In all honesty, it may slip into my bag. But I completed this Dance of the Moonlight's Jellies page. It's so glittery. It's been a running theme this month. So yeah, we used Polychromos pencils and then Posca to do all the details. There's also some Anko paint pen, I believe, as well. So I had the right colour. And this is Mod Podge Extreme Glitter, or as my chat has now dubbed it, SS Galactic Glitter Glue. Because it's just fantastic. And yeah, just a simple little page, but I had a little fun with this. And of course, this worked towards my goals of working in my untouched books, because this was the first time I had done a page in this book. Plus, it also went to my Mermaid challenge, which is not just mermaids. I also do sea life and sea critters. So this felt very appropriate as well. And this book, unfortunately, it is perforated, and the perforation do be very intense. So I'm going to probably have to look at getting like a little clear file, something to put this book into, because yeah, that's the first page I've done in here and it's already starting to fall apart a little bit. But I do love how the page turned out, not just because it's so glittery. So sparkly. So yeah, that is my first one in the Junimo colouring book. I have one in Lovecraft Monsters. So this is sort of Call of Cthulhu-esque. The page I've done is not particularly gory or anything like that, so it's just got a slight bit of creep. If you don't like tentacles, you might not like this page. Yeah, so this book is I think it's Editors of Chartwell. Yeah, it is a Chartwell book. A lot of these books are unfortunately just Shutterstock art, so just sort of like clip art, and yeah, I try to avoid buying this style of book now because they feel very generic and just clip art that matches a theme. But I don't have any other sort of Lovecraftian inspired books. I like Call of Cthulhu. So yeah, and it is quite a fun little book for flicking through for just some simple images, which worked on this day because all I wanted to do was pull out my Inktense pencils and just play around with some Inktense. So yeah, this one's quite simple, but it was a really fun, quick little one, and I did have fun just smushing together some Inktense colours. I will possibly at some stage pull out watercolours and just do like a bit of a watercolour-y background. I think that will just make it feel a bit more complete than just, you know, the tentacles coming out of the book reaching for the hand. But I did enjoy it, and again it filled the need because I really just had a need to slap some colour on a page that night. So yeah, that's Lovecraft Monsters by Editors of Chartwell. Oh my goodness, come here. So I have 2 pages that I'm not going to be able to show you on camera. I'm going to have to insert some photos because these are posters. And I didn't start just working in one, I started on 2 of them. Now, in my mind, these are counted as complete. The posters are not finished. However, these posters are folded up into 12. So I'm counting each section like a page in a book. So I have technically worked on the equivalent of 1 page of a book of the poster. But obviously the poster's still got a lot more to go on it. And then also for the gardens one, I am doing this one with Nibbling, which is nicknames for niece and nephews. So one of the Nibblings is helping me with this one. And if they decide they don't want to continue working in it, then we won't be working in it. So yeah, this one's just like, it could be done. Nibbling could decide we're done. It might not be done. So yeah, I will start off by showing you the Day of the Gardens poster first. So here is the uncoloured version, the back of the book to show you. And then I will insert a picture here of where we are up to. As I said, I am working on this one with Nibbling and having a lot of fun. Nibbling was very adamant about the colours of the snail. When I asked them if they would like to help me colour this picture, they very adamantly stated it needed a rainbow snail. And I was like, yes, child, you are very much related to me. So yeah, we worked on a lot of sections together. Parents of Nibbling also helped out with little bits and pieces, and basically next time we have a family dinner, I'll bring this up with me and we will carry on. And this has just been done with Crayola Super Tips. I just took up my old box of 100 Super Tips, the Colours of the World set, and the Pipsqueak markers. And so we just went to town with all of those and just worked our way through the page as much as we could. So yeah, for a couple of hours, it wasn't bad. And this poster, we measured it against Nibbling, and it is bigger than Nibbling. So, you know, just saying, there's a bit of work in here. It's quite fun though. So yeah, that was the Day at the Gardens. And then I also started working at the the Aquarium one, which of course fits for Mermaid, and there is indeed a mermaid on this poster. And so I'll insert a picture here. And so this one has become my mindless bed colouring. And I've literally taken my tub, and I mean literal tub, of alcohol markers into the bedroom. And I am just sitting there and colouring in elements, colouring in sections. Sometimes I do a little bit of shading with the markers, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm just colouring flat. It's just one of those brainless, mindless, colour at night situations, and I'm really enjoying it. The biggest issue I'm having is a lot of my markers are near the end of their lifespan. And so I'm struggling to find markers with enough ink in them, which has presented a really good opportunity for me to go for all my markers, and there has been markers that have been sacrificed. So I am also working my way at clearing out a lot of my markers that have dried out and just need to be disposed of. So yeah, that's been very effective, and again, just really fun bed colouring. Really enjoying just working my way through. Sometimes I work on a big element, sometimes I work on a background element, sometimes I just do a bunch of small stuff. But it has kept me very entertained and very relaxed at night. And the paper in these posters is brilliant. They're handling the alcohol markers really well. They're handling the water-based markers. They're handling nibbling, literally walking and jumping on the poster. So fully recommend these posters. They are by Crocodile Creek. They are fantastic quality, and I am thoroughly enjoying working on them. There is also a day at the zoo and day at the museum variant of them that I have seen, and I have both of them and do plan to also colour them at some point. I did a page with an artist that I don't normally colour in. I know Hannah Lynn is a regular for a lot of people, but I think this is my second ever Hannah Lynn and my first time really working with the lines that are established there. I need to move that light that is blowing things out. There we go. So yeah, I did this sea fantasy page. This is from Colouring Heaven's Tattoos and features Hannah Lynn as the artist. And for this one, I used Distress inks for the background with some Decoa Enchanted Shimmer for just like the pearlized little droplets in the background. I also put that over the bubbles. I used alcohol markers, polychromos pencils, and Posca to do the character and the bubbles, plus the enchanted shimmer to make it slightly iridescent. And then for all the tattoos on the mermaid herself, I also grabbed out W.H. Smith metallic markers and just used them to outline the tattoos that were there. So yeah, just a surprisingly fun one. I'm still not entirely sure about the red bath. I don't know why I went for a red bath. But I did really enjoy it. Now, I'm still not the biggest fan of these huge eyes. They're growing on me. But I think the biggest thing I just don't like is the way that they end in that circle. So I did kind of manage to turn it more into like an eye shape. And I was pretty pleased with that. Close off the eye and just make it work a bit better for me and how I like to work. But I think the other thing I struggle with is just how thick and black these lines are, which did work well for this situation, but yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. But it's still not an artist I hugely gravitate towards. But I did enjoy it. So maybe I do need to bite the bullet and actually get a Hannah Lynn book. Especially some of her newer work. I do look at a lot of her books. And I love seeing people colour in her work. It's gorgeous. So I don't know. Maybe it's just like I need to colour some more of her work and see how I feel about it. But yes, that was Colouring Heaven Collection Tattoos. And that was also the first page in that book. Colouring Heaven Steampunk Animals Special with some damage to the cover where I accidentally rolled over it with my chair. This one's really neat. It's got a lot of it's got a lot of different artists. It's got a bunch of Coco Wayo. I think there's some Matt Davison from memory. Jennifer Zimmerman, which I really love her work. if I wasn't going on holiday, I may even work another page in here because I just find them really fascinating. I thought there was some Matt Davison in here. Maybe not in this one. But the one that I did is this octopus by Fabiana Trere. I think I'm probably mispronouncing that. But I loved this octopus. The moment I saw this issue, I knew I wanted to colour this one. It's been waiting for a while. So Mermaid felt like the perfect opportunity to pull it out because, of course, I colour Sea Friends in Mermaid as well as Mermaids. And this octopus with its metallic fish friend just seemed really fun. And a good opportunity to play with some metal effects as well, which aren't the most successful, I will admit, especially around here on like this part. Definitely didn't succeed as much yet. I do like my silver. I feel like I did alright on the silver, but I did not capture the shape of this very well. So yeah, bit of a failure on the bronze, but I'm not mad at it. I'm just aware it's not the best shiny metal, but that's okay. So I used gouache in the background, and I believe it's just Reno art. It's terrible gouache. Do not recommend. It is essentially watercolor. It lacks any of the opacity of gouache. So I mostly just use it to use it up. So that was just me playing around to use it up in the background. And then I used, oh goodness, what else did I use in this one? Alcohol markers to base it. And then Poscas to do all the highlights and polys for the shading. And then it's just stickles for all the glittery bubbles. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that one. And mostly happy with it. I'm happy with my progress on metals. Metals are still hard to do. And I'm still very tempted to just chuck down metallics instead of trying to create non-metallic metals. But we're learning. So that is Steampunk Animal Special. And we have Sealife Colouring Heaven collection. So this features a collection of artists again. I did pick out a couple in here to possibly colour in this month. I have completed one, which is the Rita Berman page. And this is my first ever Rita Berman. And if you see a earlier video this month, I was very lovingly gifted Europa by Rita Berman. So I have my first ever Rita Berman book, and I am so excited to get into that. That is going on holiday with me. Plus, it's a smaller book, so it's perfect for travelling. So yeah, there may be another Rita Berman in the second half of this video. Hopefully. I'm trying to. But I had started on this one, and I did manage to finish this one off, which I really like how this turned out. This is so fun. I feel like Rita's work is so suited for bright, vivid, intense colours, which is what I love to colour. So I had a lot of fun. So the background is alcohol markers. In fact, the whole page was based in alcohol markers. And then I used polychromos to do some shading. I pulled out some metallic gel pens for some of the details. And again, I just used Mod Podge Extreme Glitter to go over the sky, the top of the water, so it was like the sky was reflecting on the water. And then the bubbles as well also have some of the Mod Podge Extreme Glitter on them, so that they also look like they're sparkling. It did slightly interact with the pencil that had been put down on the page, so there is a little bit of like blue smudging. But I don't mind that too much. That was probably because I added such a thick layer of the stuff, because I was like, more glitter, more glitter. I've used so much of this Mod Podge Extreme Glitter at the moment. I'm absolutely loving it. So that is Colouring Heaven Sealife. And then Colouring Heaven Mermaid Special. Of course I got to work in the Mermaid specials during Mermaid. Makes sense. And I actually did 3 pages in here. So, the first one is this gorgeous Mariola Budek page. I love Mariola Budek's Mermaids. And this and the next page are the means I have completed all the Mariola Budek mermaids in this special, so I think I am going to grab her mermaid pack at some point because I just love them. I've had so much fun colouring them, and I'm really sad there's no more of her work in here, so I think I will need to grab... I know she's got them on Etsy. I don't believe she has an actual book, but I think I'm going to grab some of her PDF packs at some point because I really enjoy her mermaids. So yeah, this one is move my post-it off there. So this one we used oh goodness, what did we use? We used a lot on this one. So started off with a base of alcohol markers and then polychromos for shading. I also pulled out my Staedtler Tri-Plus fine liners to do all these little freckles across her face and just like on her shoulders and her hand. Just thought she'd look really cute with freckles, and I'm glad I did because I really freaking love it. And then I did pull out Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolors for this part down here. Originally I had finished the background water and just finished it off where it kind of met the shadowing under the shell, but it just kind of felt empty. So yeah, I grabbed out the watercolors just to fill in this bottom area. There is a bit of Posca for all the highlights, especially like eye shinies, lip shinies. This is Deco Art Enchanted Shimmer on top of her little pearl there, so it's got like a shimmery reflect. And then the background, I cannot tell you the brand name because I think it doesn't technically have a brand name. They just say acrylic color, and they are a gel glitter paint. So they are, like I used the blue so you can see the tint of the blue in the background, and then it's got all these different types of glitters and rainbow colors. It's like, you can see it's not the best application, it's patchy, it shows through, but I just thought it'd be a really fun one to chuck in the background, and it's not often that I get to use that stuff, so I was like, let's chuck it in the background. And I like how it works, and it makes this page very shimmery and sparkly, and I like the rainbow glitter around it. So yeah, that was the clamshell. And then I also did Seahorse Friend. So this one, once again, alcohol markers to base, polychromos for shading. There is a little bit of paint pen. No, I didn't actually use paint pen on this one. I pulled out a white Prismacolor just to do the little highlights. So yeah, no actual paint pen. Well, there's no actual matte paint pen, but there is a Deco Color glitter paint pen to do the outline around the background and add in all these little dots and stuff like that. And I did think about like properly blocking out the background, but it's just like, no, I just kind of want it matte blue. And then it's like I could color in the whole page with this marker, but I don't think there's enough ink left in the marker for that. So I just thought a good solid line around the page with some bubbles carrying off of it would help frame it. And I do really like how it looks. It really pops against the blue. Definitely needed like that fill in. So yeah, let me know what you think. Do you think I should have like extended this out further and made it more solid? Should I actually just have tried to color in the whole page? Do I need to do more bubbles? Or do you just like it as is? I'm kind of of the opinion I like it as is, but I have been told that maybe I could do it a bit further out. I don't know. Let me know what you think. And then the third one that I have done in here is Mermaid Pets. So this is a Mystic Art Mirrors piece. I really enjoyed doing this one. This is a lot of fun. This was just one in bed. I was going to work on the aquarium poster, and I just was like, no, I don't really want to do that. And then I remembered I had tagged to do, I think originally I tagged to do this one. And I just wasn't in the mood for it, but I saw this one. I was like, no, I could work with this one. I like this one. So yeah, entirely coloured and shaded with alcohol markers. And then I used Anko paint pens to do like spots and highlights and stuff like that. And then I pulled out, because there is a gold in there, and she had some freckles kind of blocked in. So I used that to go over them just to give like gold freckles. I don't know, something about that intrigued me, and then I extended the freckles down her shoulders and onto her ears. And then I grabbed a bit of stickles, and everywhere I put those dots, I also put stickles. And I really loved the effect of her having shimmery, glittery freckles. Like, that makes me very happy. And yeah, it was a lot of fun to do this page. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, those are the 3 that I did in Colouring Heaven Mermaid Special. Right, so next up, I have a page in Beauty of Horror. Now, this page, again, I know some people really aren't comfortable with this book, so if you need to skip ahead, here's where to skip ahead to. This is the zombie mermaid page, so it's not like a decapitated head or anything like that, which this book does have, so I do understand, but it is zombie merms. So if you're not comfortable with that, please by all means feel free to skip, because I want you to feel comfortable. It's a big reason I haven't actually worked in this book yet, because it's like, do I want to keep this book? But I do really like the artwork. But yes, as I said, I did do the zombie merms page, and this was heavily inspired by the wonderful Sophie Colours, who also goes by Yellow Beans on Twitch, which is how I found them. And they live stream like I do, only on Twitch, not on YouTube, but they put out speed up time lapses of their colouring on YouTube. And they primarily colour in the Beauty of Horror. So yeah, they do some really beautiful colouring, and I really recommend you check them out. But I was watching their stream, and they happened to be colouring in this, on this page, and I was like, hang on, that's Beauty of Horror 1. I have that issue. This is the one Beauty of Horror I have, and I haven't worked in it. So I yanked it off the shelf and added it to my pile, because it is an untouched book for me. And I thought, if that's going to make me get into this book, that would be amazing. And so it did. So I used Prismacolor to shade the merms, and then some distress ink in the background, and that was it. I was originally going to try and separate out these tentacles, and Sophie did mention that sorting out which tentacle was which was the most confusing part, and I'd started working on this side being red orange, and then this side was going to be pale blue. But yeah, as I was colouring, I accidentally coloured some of those ones, and then I was like, you know what, they're all going to be red orange. Too confusing. So yeah, we ended up just doing that and finishing it off. But yeah, I really like it. It's very simple for me. It hasn't got any glitter, it hasn't got any shimmer. It's literally just pencils in distress. I didn't even pull out any Posca markers or anything like that, but I don't know, I was just happy with it, you know? Sometimes you're like, nope, I don't need to add more. And that's what happened. So yeah, that is my first ever page in the Beauty of Horror colouring book. This is volume 1 by Ellen Robert. This book. This book, oh my goodness. Now, I have the Mermaids colouring collection by Selina Fenech in both line and grayscale. I brought them secondhand. I don't know which Amazon they were printed at, but these are definitely Amazon printed books. This book, I don't know what's going on with the paper. It's like when I colour in this book, sections of the paper are absorbing the ink quicker than other sections of the book, resulting in a weird patchiness that appears. It doesn't always appear, it's not over the whole page, it's not even inconsistent, but I can feel the ink soaking in differently, and I can see the difference. I have tried watercolors, I have tried alcohol markers, I have tried water-based markers, gouache, acrylic inks, and I'm not having much luck. I am very close to writing this book off, especially because I have the Grayscale version, and the Grayscale version is fine. So yeah, I started a page in here this month with not much luck. This is me trying out and basing with some water-based markers to see if I can figure out the weird patchiness. I know water-based markers aren't the best for it. I have tried with alcohol markers before, and you can see, like, there is where I've doubled up the marker, but here is just one singular stroke, and you can see the oddness in the ink absorbency that happens through. The skin I managed to get smooth, but I think from memory I did like 5 or 6 passes to get this so smooth. And that's a lot of alcohol ink. Yeah, there's a lot of passes to get that, and it still didn't work out right on the tail, hence why these gold acrylic ink covering the tail. This page is technically not completed, but because it's a double up book, I've got this version later on, so I don't consider it a whip. Anyway, sorry. That's distraction. So this is one of the ones I was trying this month. I really wanted to do this lily page. So this is my attempt with water-soluble markers just to see how that'd work on the paper. And I had the absorbency issues again. It's a little harder to see because, of course, water-soluble markers, they do technically, you can see where you've gone over, for example. So, yeah, but this is me putting down, like, enough coats that we shouldn't have patchiness at all. And we still have patchiness. And then I tried playing around with some gouache to see if adding some more tooth to the paper would also help pencil stick better and maybe some other media stick better. So this is acrylic ink, and it's kind of tacky. It hasn't absorbed well either into the page, and yeah, not quite happy with the Prismacolor there. So yeah, my completed page in here is this one. Quite simply, I just needed a win. I didn't care. So I just pulled out Polychromos and I coloured this one very, very quickly. I couldn't be bothered with the fins, so I just pulled out some glitter gel markers and I just coloured in the fins glitter gel. It is not my finest work. It hasn't got enough depth or contrast. The shading isn't probably the most even, but I just needed a win in this book. And it turns out just using Polychromos pencil straights does work in this book, but I very rarely just colour a page with plain pencils. I like to chuck down a base medium. I like to fill out that page in the white and the tooth of the page before I come in with the Polychromos pencils. So yeah, the only thing I haven't tried in here is Inktense pencils, which will probably be the next thing to try. But we'll see how we go. This book's not coming on holiday with me, so technically the lily remains as a whip, but I may genuinely just abandon this book. And by abandon, I won't like chuck it out or anything. I'll like cut up and use in craft projects or something, the illustrations. I don't know. I don't want to let the paper defeat me, but I also know I won't colour this book if I have to stick to just pencils. I'm gonna want to put a base layer down. I'm gonna want to have options here, and I know most people use alcohol markers, so it's really weird that it's just absorbing them so differently. Like again, this is where the marker has, like, I've come back over and reworked this section, so it's understandable that's darker, but that compared to that is one pass, so that should not be discolored. That should be even. And this is after multiple coats on the hair as well. This is not like just one layer and it needs more layers of alcohol markers. This is me working several layers over top, nice and even, to try and smooth out the colour. So you can see a little bit on the shoulder there of the discoloration, I think. Depends on the camera. The camera's not picking up so much on the teal as it is to the other colours, and I did work a lot more layers into the teal to try and fix it, and the worst of it was under here where I just chucked on the gold acrylic ink to try out the ink, which is also still slightly tacky. So yeah, that was kind of my disaster book. I don't know what I'm going to do. But as I said, I have this in Grayscale. The Grayscale works beautifully. We may just stick to the Grayscale. On to a happier book. 30 Days of Creativity. So this one is a personal little project book for me. I am approaching this book to fulfill a need that I have, which is to apply some of my art journaling techniques into a colouring book, and this felt like the correct book to do it in. So I have started working some more in here. I am working front to back, so I am just working in order just for the ease of my brain. So a lot of what I've done here at the moment is just information pages. We're only just starting to hit into the actual creative part of the book, but I have plans and I'm excited. So I did show you this one last month. However, as I work through the book, there may be things that I discover that I add to pages or go back and amend. So a page may be complete, but it's not truly complete. So I did find these little glitter bows, and I just thought they worked with the silver, so I chucked those on. So yeah, slight amendment. And then I had started working on this, but I wasn't entirely happy with the page. Well, I was happy. I was considering it done. I'd created this little shaker thing and coloured in the robots underneath, and then stuck down this paper on top with a window so you could see. And I did mention at the time that I thought I might need to stick down some washi tape around the edges, so as you can see I did do that. I also found this little rocket that I just kind of felt like worked with all the stars and the robots. And then I found these little scrapbooking embellishments that say hello, and this is my happy. I was like, that's correct, this is my happy. And then we did the counterpart to that, which is the nameplate page. So using the scrap of this paper that I cut out for the window here, I photocopied the page behind this and then cut out in here and then stuck that behind it so that you get the same paper, but I didn't have to like fussy cut out all these sections. Instead, well, I still had to, but I was cutting them out to put this behind instead of me trying to cut this out to match a section. And then obviously wrote my name. This is all paint pens to colour it all in. I know, I just felt like using paint pens to colour it in. So what my brain wanted at the time. And in particular gold metallic pens to frame it. And then these little stars that are all around are the same sparkly sequins that are in here. So I just pulled the same star sequins out and stuck them all around. These little gold shooty off bits are actually from the inners of in here. Waste not, want not. And so I just stuck them down to be like, you know, explosions coming out. I don't know, it worked for me. Just some like scraps of the same washi tape that I used around the frame. And then I found a little journaling element that says celebrate this day. So I stuck that down and I put the month that I started working in this, which was April 2024. Idea being once I finish, I can put the finishing page date down here. And then I covered this entire spread with Mod Podge Extreme Glitter. Or as we're calling it, SS Galactic Glitter Glue. And this is why, because now it kind of looks like it's floating in space. So yeah, I am very pleased with how this one turned out. And then we also did the information page. So this has got a message from Johanna and has some tips about working in the book. I wasn't too worried about this information because, again, I'm approaching this book very differently. So Instead, I was like, we're just going to turn this into a garden brick wall. So you can still see a little bit of the message from Johanna, but it's not really the focus. So I had photocopied this side just so that I could stick it over the little scrap that I put in and still have this here. But I pulled out a brick wall stencil that I have. And also for this side, I then pulled out my distress inks in a variety of browns. And just went to town with the stencil to create the brick surface and used my water bottle and just dropped on some splatter just to create like a texture for the brick wall. And then around the wall, originally there was drawn this like little scrolly frame that you could colour in. All honesty, I didn't want to colour it in. It looked fiddly and I was not in the mood to colour it. So instead I chose to decoupage in a flower frame and make this look like it's a brick wall in the garden that's being overtaken by the garden plants. And I love how this turned out. So the flowers are a mixture of some scrapbooking, I think they're called Infera. I don't know, it's just like some bits that are on card that are printed out that you can stick into your journaling and stuff like that, like scrapbooking, card making, random bits. I have so much of this stuff, so I pulled it out. I pulled out a bunch of the flowers. I also cut some flowers out of magazines to add into this. I also cut this hummingbird out of a magazine. It technically had a trumpet for its beak, but I just kind of trimmed it to a beak size. And I feel like it still works, even though I know technically that was originally a trumpet. Most people wouldn't. And then I also had these lacework butterflies. So I stuck those in. I only stuck them in by their spines, so they are technically loose. Some of them are stuck over an actual butterfly cutout, and then some of them are just loose on the page because I just thought that was fun. A little bit of stickles over the hummingbird because I know, I just felt like it needed it. And lots of Mod Podge and matte to seal this all down. And yeah, so like another little, found some more words that kind of work. So we've got love, bliss, so wonderful, celebrate whenever you can. Some gold stars that I found. It's really just finding things that I felt worked for the page and the colours and sticking it down. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Oh, and the background is a magazine cutout. It's just like a garden spread that was in a magazine, but it worked for the edges. So, and I liked all this purple tying in. So yeah, that was the message from Johanna and tips and trick page. And then the next page. So this technically was two separate pages. You had a list of materials here that you could use in the book. And then this page here was a tracker so that you could colour in every day. And it had 30 squares that you could colour in to show that you had coloured every day. Now I colour every day, so I did not need this tracker. What I did want though is a page tracker to see my progress in the book. So that is what I have done here. So I first did this half and I found this cutout of this little field mouse in the hay. And not cutout, magazine picture of a field mouse in the hay. And I was like, I need this. I need this in here. I don't know why. I just need this. So this page that listed the materials you can use in this book, obviously I'm ignoring it. So I was just like, slap this down. That's our focus. And then we'll work around it. So I found a bunch of pages. I went to my library and they were actually doing a clear out of a bunch of books, but they had a bunch of garden magazines that they were clearing out, and it was like fill a bag for $1. So I got like 22 magazines for like $1. And so that's where I pulled a lot of stuff out of. I went through them and I just pulled out a bunch of images that looked really interesting. So yeah, that's where this little mousey came from. And then there was like fields of flowers in a distance, which is this part here. So I just cut out like bush leafy shapes. I think technically this is a close-up on like a cauliflower or something. I don't know, it just worked. But there's a couple of different greens. I think this is technically trees. I just kind of layered different green pages that I found in like different round shapes around the edges, because this was not quite big enough to completely fill the page. And then one of the issues was having an iris special, so I pulled out the iris pictures because they had these big close-ups, and I was like, that's really cool, and kind of goes with the close-up of the mouse. So I cut them all up and stuck them around, and then I found these little cardboard butterflies in my collection that came in all these different colours and patterns, so I pulled them out and stuck them down as well because I felt like the colours kind of worked with the page. And then of course there's some stickles on top because tickles. And then I started working on this one, so I kind of wanted it to match but not be an exact match, so I felt like this was our close-up and this is our zoom out. And that same iris spread had this little planter that they showed with this iris and said forest iris. I don't know flowers, but I liked it. I thought that was quite cool and would create some depth, so I cut that one out, and then I found like different layers of flowers, and like the flower, like the tree, and then like the bush in the background. So it was me just layering different stuff, and then like this, technically I think there was like a building back here, but I knew this would be covered. So yeah, this is just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different pages layered in different ways to give different effects. But a little fussy, but really fun, and I like the effect. The only thing I don't like is I could have probably been a bit more pedantic cutting out all these little flowers, but meh, I need to get a tiny little pair of scissors. And then same butterflies as on the other page, which helps tie it together. And then up here, this is technically just mathematic grid paper. So I just ripped a page out of an old mathematics book and cut that to be exactly the amount of squares I needed for this book, for all the pages in the book, which I believe is 80 from memory. So there should be 80 squares in here, which will colour a square as we go through. I just used some washi tape to frame around it, and then I found these little label tag thingies, which I stuck in, and I did write page tracker on here, so it is kind of hard to see depending on where your light is, and I may go over that with a white or a lighter color just so it's more obvious, because yeah, depending how your light is, it's a bit hard to see that this is the page tracker. But that'll be next month, because I feel like, 6 pages in here is enough for this month. But yeah, I'm really happy with the progress, and the next page is this tea spread, and this is, I think, where you're gonna see what I envision for this book. So we'll give you a sneak peek of what I'm going to be doing. This side here with all the teapots and teacups, I'm going to photocopy it and do the tea and coffee stain challenge thing that was done before, where you like splatter some tea on a page, let it dry, and then go around it, and you either shade in the tea or on the outside of the tea. So I'm probably going to shade inside the tea. So that's going to be this page. And in this one, what we're going to do is I'm going to draw a bunch of animals enjoying each of the teacups in their own different ways, and then pull out different scrapbooking papers or magazines, find interesting patterns, and create patterns on the cups those ways. So that's kind of the plan for this page. I have got like different plans for different pages going forward as well. So I was talking in my last stream how, for example, a page like this text page is not as interesting to me, but what I have wanted to do in a book is to do a puzzle approach, and I've seen people do it before where they draw on a puzzle. What I want to do is either colour it first and then photocopy it, or photocopy it and colour it. I'm not entirely sure. Probably photocopy and colour, and then cut that out like it's a puzzle, and then re-stick it in and match it, so you'll be able to see, it's a puzzle, but then have a couple of pieces flying off separately, and you'll still have this underneath, so you'll know it's like not fully there. And I think with this message of progress, not perfection, that could be a really cool effect. So, that's one of the things that I've got in mind for this book. Obviously, we've got a lot more stuff to go through, but I feel like that was quite a successful little month in 30 days of creativity. Alright, still going. I have had an incredibly busy colouring month, and it's only the 22nd. Fantasy Nouveau. This is by Leonhard. So this one, the first one in here, is actually a buddy colour. So I have the PDF version, and the beautiful Emily of eArt Studios has the actual book. So we chose to buddy in this page because we both like tabletop roleplay and nerdy stuff, and it just reminds us of Dungeons and Dragons. It's just that. It reminds us of Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, I was very happy about doing this page. I did not realize at the time, because again I had the digital copy, that this is technically a double page spread in the book, and of course I have them all printed the same size. So sorry Emily for choosing the double page spread, but I hope you enjoyed it. Now at the time of filming this, Emily is still finishing off their page. Again, I'm filming this early, so I can't really describe the page, but I'm going to obviously put in the picture, which should be playing now as I ramble. I bet it's gorgeous. I have no doubt it's gorgeous. I'm very excited to see it. I've seen work in progress shots. I know how it's progressing, and it's gorgeous so far. So I have no doubt it turned out amazing. And future Amy adores it. So for my page, I used alcohol markers to base it, polychromos to shade it, Poscas to do some highlights, and then a gold metallic pen just to do this frame. And I don't know why I decided to do the Sky Peach. I don't know why. I think it was because of the Day at the Aquarium poster using so much of my blue markers, or I knew I was going to be using so many blue markers. I was like, let's not do a blue sky, and I just chose peach. But it works. I really like it. Oh, and then the other thing I used, sorry, I just remembered, the other thing I used on here was Staedtler Triplus fine liners, just to do all these little characters because they're so tiny on the page. But yeah, I really love how this one turned out. It was a really fun spread, and it's a really fun book. And I'm so grateful to Emily for buddying with me so that I could get into this book. Because not only did I do this one, I was then inspired to carry on in here. And I did a second page in this book. And so, of course, there is a mermaid in here for Mermaid. So I was like, yes. But it also has a sea dragon. And I was like, that's really cool. So yeah, I really like how this one turned out too. So this one again uses alcohol markers for the base, polychromos for shading, Posca to do all the highlighting, including silver Posca for all like the jewelry and stuff. And the only difference here is that I also used the Mod Podge Extreme Glitter in the background of the water to make that all glittery as well. And I did pull out the metallic gel pens again to do the border as well. So yeah, quite a simple, quick page in a way. Like there's a bit of details, but it really didn't take too long. I kind of flew through this one. And again, really enjoyed it. And it meant that I got 2 pages done in this previously untouched book. And then another PDF book that I worked in is Botanical Beast. This is by, I know RareDragons is their Twitch username. Yes, RareDragons or Jessica C. Feinberg. They produce like little independent colouring books. They have a lot of books. And they have a really unique style. I really have a lot of fun playing around with their pages. So I did this one. So I technically have printed the colouring book 2 to a page because there's a lot of pages in this book. And I find that they are quite alright to make a bit smaller. So yeah, I'll just take that out fully. Why am I not taking that out fully? And so I did this page here. So this uses some new Unity water-soluble brush markers. that I wanted to try playing with. So the brush markers plus some water to play around. There is a little bit of Posca just for like the silver is Posca, but then I also pulled out some Posca for like the details, just to give some more texture to her skin and stuff like that. And then some stickles over the water in the background. It's just a quick, simple one, but it was just a fun little dabble and a great way to test out the pens as well and just see how they worked in terms of being water-soluble brush markers. And I hadn't technically worked in this one as well, so it was nice to get this one worked in. So that was Botanical Beasts. I believe it's Botanical Beasts Volume 5. No, it's my other one that's Volume 5. This is just Botanical Beasts. It's not a month if I don't do some form of kids book. I really enjoy colouring in kids books. And this is a new kids book for me this month because I was just sitting here thinking about the mermaids I wanted to colour. And I was like, you know, I really want to colour Laguna Blue. I was just thinking about Monster High. I was like, I really want to colour Laguna Blue. I do not have a Monster High colouring book. So I had a look online and I found the Ultimate Activity book. So it's not technically just colouring. There are activities in this book. But this was like $4. I was like, you know what? Let's try it. If I hate it, I'll pass it on to someone. But it's actually a really cute book. And because it's an activity book, like I knew I wasn't going to do this word thingamabob. Now I could have technically coloured this in, but I was just like, nah, it's fine. It's an activity book. I'm not worried. So yeah, I could use my alcohol markers here. And so I did, because that's also what I wanted to use on the page is alcohol markers. So it's primarily alcohol markers blended, like even this pink to blue in the top here. It's all alcohol markers. I did pull out a little bit of polychromos to shade in like a little bit on the face and add in especially hair details. But I tried to do as much of the shading as possible with just the markers, and I feel like that was quite successful. Little bit of Posca to do like these little pearls in her hair. I just did them silver, and I pulled out a white just to add the eye shinies like I usually do, and then some stickles on the bubbles. And I could have technically put something in the background, but I actually really just liked it like this. I was like, no, this just feels done, you know? I was done. I was happy with it. So I didn't want to do like Distress Ink or watercolors or anything in the background. But yeah, it's a really cute little colouring book. Again, it is technically an activity book, but so like this here is like some sort of word thingamabob, which if this was just on this side, fine, alcohol markers. It's alcohol markers anyway, because the other side's just like I'm not going to colour it. And this, again, alcohol markers, because I'm not going to do the activity. And she's just on that side, so I don't have to do that side, and that means I can use alcohol markers here. So again, I could have technically coloured that in, but I wanted to do alcohol markers there. Some of them do line up with different pages, like if I want to do the title page, this couldn't be alcohol markers. But yeah, most of the activities, it's kind of like colouring activity. So I can kind of use some markers in here if I wanted to. I just thought it was cute and fun and something a bit different. But yeah, I tried to base it on the generation that this Laguna is inspired by, but then I also changed my mind and just started making stuff up too. I miss her being properly blue though. I miss Gen 1 Laguna. She was cool. But yeah, still pleased with the outcome on this one. So that was the Monster High Ultimate Activity book. Fantasy Dolls by Johanna Prosperina. I think that's how it's pronounced. This is the Grayscale book. This one was just brought on impulse because I found it locally. I'd never heard of the illustrator, and it has like quite a distinct light grayscale. I think this would be a really good one to pull out either watercolors for, but also working with ink tints or Albert Dürers directly from the pencil and applying it like a watercolor could be a really fun and neat way to do this book as well. But this time I did this one and it looks messy, especially because I haven't gone over the border yet. I'll probably pull out some washi tape or just black this out in the future. But for now, is what it is. And then, of course, there was some overspill, so it happens. So, for this one, we used alcohol markers to base, polychromos for shading. I also used Deco Color glitter paint pens to do like all the little dots on her hair. And then Kaisercraft shimmer spray for this teal splatter in the background. And I had also just gotten some glossy accents. I finally found glossy accents locally, so I was like, yes, must try. And so this was the first one I had, so I tried it on her eyes and some of the bubbles in the background. I did the bubbles first, and I made like a big mound of it, and then I put this to dry, but it was slightly on an angle, so it has like slightly traveled. So I did learn this has to stay flat while drying. I don't mind it though. Again, like the splatter and all the different effects around kind of hide the fact that they're not flat. And when I came back and decided to also add it to the eyes and the lips, I just made sure it stayed really, really flat until it was fully dry. And I really like how her eyes and lip look. They're so shiny. So yeah, just a fun little one. But again, another book that I hadn't previously worked in and perfect for Mermaid. Disney Stained Glass Colouring Volume 2. So I actually have the first of these books, the Disney Stained Glass Colouring book, and it is my most worked in book. And it is, because it is my go-to brainless, flat, I don't want to think colouring book. Because in these books, I literally just grab water-soluble markers and colour in the squares whatever colour I feel like. We don't focus on shading. We don't focus on the detail. I try to match the colours to what the image is, but also, if it changes, it changes. It's my brainless colouring book. And now I have a second version of it. I have Volume 2, because again, Volume 1 I'm very close to finishing. And I think it's very important to have a book like this, where, you know, I just want to colour in with markers, and it's just as valid as my more detailed, beautiful, hours upon hours spent on a page colouring book. But yeah, so I did the Little Mermaid page, because again, perfect for Mermaid, and it's just water-soluble markers. It is, normally I'd work with Crayolas. I just got in from the warehouse. They have like a little travel kit with, I think it's 50 brush markers. Are they around here? Can I show you? It would be really nice if they're around here, because they are meant to be, because I'm contemplating taking them with me. Ugh. If you're in New Zealand, these here, ignore all the crud that's fallen on them. 48. So they say that they're watercolour. They're just bog standard brush markers and water soluble ink, like most felt tips. But it comes in a nice case. It comes in a good array of colours. And they're pretty reasonable for what they are. So, especially if you get a deal on them, which is what I did. I got them, I think, with like 30% off. So, they're also not badly priced. So, that was my impulse buy. And I didn't mind them. And that was my page in Disney Stained Glass Colouring Book Volume 2. We're still going. Again, it's the 22nd. I have gone nuts with colouring this month. Vertical Worlds Colouring Book by Abhidaka. I did my first page in here, which is the Vertical Aquarium. I might not be able to get all of this in frame. Kind of. Oh, do I need to zoom out some more? There we go. Right, so I did just zoom you out so you can see the whole thing in frame, but I do kind of have to keep it in place because it wants to just fly all over the place. So yeah, this is the Vertical Aquarium page. So I did use some gouache in the background, which looks atrocious with the light highlighting it, it looks really, really patchy. In real life, it looks a bit smoother. It's not perfect because I am using some terrible gouache. It doesn't want to really cooperate, but it does work alright for the background. I just wanted to do a simple gradient in the background that used the same colours that I was going to be using in the foreground, so it's just easy. And the main reason I needed to do like a gouache or an acrylic paint is because the background of the aquarium itself is entirely done in distress ink. And so I was trying to keep within the frame, but then I realised, hang on, I'll just paint over that, so then I could go like right up to the edges. So yeah, I put down a layer of distress ink, and then I used my spritz water bottle to also splatter it to give like these like textured dots and light effects, and just kind of give the illusion of more texture in the aquarium. It also didn't splatter through, which I found really interesting. And then for all the creatures in here, I used the combination of the Unity watercolor brush markers that I just showed you because they have a fine end tip, and then my Staedtler Tri-Plus fine liners, and a little bit of like Posca to do like the water reflection lines on the glass, or like the bubbles, or the dolphin at the aquarium entrance here. And the other thing I did, where, if I can even find where I put them, because I might have hid them too well. I did kind of hide them too well. They are very subtle, and in fact it looks like the pen that I used to do them has kind of pushed the underlying distress ink away, and now it just looks like a ghosted shadow or a highlight. So that's interesting. I might need to come back and re-add to it. I did technically draw in 2 little mermaids into here, but I might need to go back and add some detail to that because you can't even tell. But I did hide 2 mermaids in here originally. Interesting. I have to try and remember which of the markers I used for that and figure out why it's interacted with the page that way. Because they were definitely darker when I did them, and it looks like there's a ring around it, so it almost looks like maybe I just applied too many layers and it's just pushed the distress ink out and created this little rim. Maybe. I don't know. I still really like the page though. There's a lot of like little finicky detail, but it was also really fun to just come in and just like take my fine liners and just shade in another page, another element, another fish, a little bit at a time. So yeah, that is a Vertical Aquarium by Abi Darko from Vertical Worlds. 2 more! Alright, let's bring you back in. Gnomes in the Neighborhood by Denise Klett. Now, this is a new book I was working in, so I hadn't worked a page in here, which is great. But also, I really want the Mermaids in Paradise book. And I learnt earlier this month that it is no longer in production, which is why I cannot find it anywhere. And I am gutted, because out of Denise Klett's books, that's the one that I really, really wanted. However, she is coming out with a Goblin book, and that looks really cool. So I might have to grab that one, particularly if it's going to run out again. But yeah, because I didn't have the Mermaids in Paradise book, luckily Gnomes in the Neighborhood also includes some mermaid pages. So I did one of those instead to fill that need that I had, because I love Denise Klett's work. It's just so suited to bright, colourful colours. And that's what I went for here. So I really wanted to do a mermaid in like pink, purples and blues and have a little gnome bee in oranges and yellows. And it was like clearly a different divide. I just thought it would be funny because her face is kind of saying like, oh hun, you're sweet for trying, but no. And that's just kind of what I imagine her saying. It just amused me. So yeah, I used a mixture of, oh goodness, I used a lot of stuff on this page. So ink tints for like, I know the sunset was done in ink tints. And I also used, goodness, super tips, Crayola super tips to block in these the elements in the foreground. And then I used the Super Tips Staedtler Triplus Fineliners and Polychromos to shade all the elements. I pulled out metallic gel pens, glitter gel pens, and Posca to do like the circle of the flowers, the pattern on the shorts, little details on the top. So lots of little bits with all those little pens. I used Deco Art Stardust over the background for like that really fine shimmery glitter effect. And I did that forgetting I was fully intending to glitter out the Merm. And I was like, you know what, we're still going to go with it. We're still going to glitter it. So then I also used Enchanted Shimmer and the Stardust on the Merm for like her headband, her lips. I started with the Enchanted Shimmer and then I also went over it with the Stardust so it would be even more glittery. And then her tail. So this is the same glitter gel paint that I used for the Mariola Budek Merm that came in blue. But this is the clear iridescent. And I literally used the entire tube. It is so thickly on here, but I love it. It's so textured, so iridescent, and so sparkly. And I really love how it came together. And I did think about going back over the lines that are now kind of blocked out by the glitter. But also I kind of like that her tail was so sparkly you can't even look at it properly. So you can see like the chunkiness of this glitter and the little bits of the iridescent flakes are sticking out. I just thought it was fun and it's textured and so sparkly and just everything I wanted to do on this page. Ridiculous glitter, bright colours, sparkles. Yeah, so much fun. And then the final book for part 1. There is still more pages that I have completed. However, those pages are in books that are travelling with me. It has been an incredible month so far. But the final page that I'm going to show you in this part, it's still one video. I don't know why I say part 1 or part 2. In this half of the video, this is the first page that final page I'm going to be showing you. Wow, I'm losing the plot with words. This is Mythographic Dreamweaver by Alexander Fusi. And I did the Ice Merm page. Oh, I still have my tag on the other Merm page in this book, which we're not getting to. Let's move it here. So yes, I did this Ice Merm page, and it was so much fun. So in this one, I used... Oh my goodness, where is it on my list? The list is huge this month. So, I used Caran d'Ache Fan Colour water-soluble pencils because I was gifted those and wanted to try using them. And then I also added in some Koh-Lenoir Mondeluz Aquarium water-soluble pencils. I used some Polychromos pencils to help darken the shading. And then Posca to like block out some of these lines. The snowflakes were done in a new Deco Color glitter paint pen that I was also gifted. There is a little bit of Jazz Art metallic pencils on her lips, and then also some Stickles glitter glue. There is also loose glitter that is dropped all over the page, which you can see if I sort of tilt it up. So there's these little flakes of glitter that also are all over the page, just to sort of add to that icy effect. And then, of course, up here, there is nail gem stickers and some diamond art diamonds as well, with Mod Podge mat to stick it all down. And this was fiddly. I'm not going to lie, it took me a long time. There was definitely tweezers involved to do all this. But I love how it turned out. I really wanted to create for her a glorious crown. So, yeah, I used silver metallic gel pen. Not paint pen, just gel pen. Because I used that all over the crown first to help fill in some of the areas. So if there was little gaps, it would be filled in where the gems weren't. So yeah, really a lot of media on this page. Oh, and yep, there's still more. There is deco art enchanted shimmer on the dolphins as well, so they've got a little bit of iridescent green as well. I think that's everything I used on the page. There's a lot, but I love how it turned out so much. And I've had a few questions about, but how are you going to colour in front of it? Because, like, it is very textured. It is very, very textured. As you can see there. It's 3D. And, I mean, this is a mythographic. I can just separate it from the book. It is pre-perforated. But also I can add in some extra layers of thick cardboard in there so that there is a buffer layer. And I will probably do that anyway so that these don't sort of push through and start damaging the next page. We definitely need to put some protection in here just to be safe, to be sure. So yeah, that's my final page for this half of the video. I can feel my brain churning and struggling. I can't believe how long this first part is, but we're going to pause it here. And I'm going to come back in over a week and we'll carry on with this with the rest of the pages from this month. So, welcome back to current Amy. As I said, previous part had to be filmed early because of the travel, and now we're here and we're going to carry on with the additional pages with the books that I currently have here with me. So, I had very limited room traveling this month, so I could only bring 6 books with me. I have printed out 2 digital books while here as well, but I didn't get to work in those during the month. So let's go through the books that I did bring. So Bulls de Bulls? I don't know. I believe it translates to Fur Bulls. This was a gift from the amazing Emily of eArt Studios. And you can see by the tags here that I have done a few in here. I have really enjoyed this book. Like, I knew I would love this book, which is why it was on my wish list. I knew it would be adorable. I did not realize how much I would thoroughly enjoy working in this book. So, yeah, we've done quite a few in here. Let's go back to front because the first one is this Rainbow Unicorn page, which is uber sparkly, as you can see. Super fun. So very simply coloured. It is mostly Inktense. All the pencil work is Inktense, and then I did pull out a little bit of Polychromos pencils just to do some additional shading. I pulled out a silver and gold metallic gel pen to do the stars and the cloud, and then the entire background is coated in a layer of Mod Podge Extreme glitter, and you can see just how gorgeously sparkly it is. And it's kind of perfect because it's Pride Month. Every month is Pride Month, but, you know, extra special Pride Month. And I really love Rainbow Unicorn. And then we have this one here. So this was actually the first one I did in the book. Something about this page just really called to me. And I really wanted to colour her like how my hair should look when it is actually dyed. It has been way too long since I have dyed my hair. But yeah, I just really was drawn to this page. This was the first one I did in the book. So I used Pablo pencils for all the pencil work, except for the background, the carpet, and the walls, which I did in Inktense. And yeah, I didn't even pull out any Posca or glitter, which is kind of surprising for me, but I just really enjoyed it. I've seen this one done a few times and it's absolutely gorgeous. The third one I've done in here is this cute little kitty page. I chose this one because I had a bunch of leftover grey from another page, and I saw the brickwork and I was like, that could all be grey. And so I just laid down a bunch of grey as a first layer and then went in and darkened certain bricks and just added in more colour, and it worked really well. And I didn't have a plan for the rest of the colours, but I realised that like it could be quite a cool contrast to do cooler tones for the bird and the tree outside and then warmer colours for the cats inside. It's just a little bit of contrast, but then I did do their beaks orange, so there's little pops of warmth on the outside. And so yeah, the grey in the background is all Inktense, doing Inktense, and then there is a bit of Posca to outline the bricks and the windows and the glare on the windows. I just wanted to make that like really pop out a bit more. The branch and the cats and the birds are all coloured with Pablos, a little bit of Posca for the beaks, and of course stickles on the birds themselves. Because, you know, glitter. We do love our glitter. And yeah, it was a really quick page, but it was really fun. Again, I'm surprised at how much I enjoyed working in this book and just how quickly things come together in it. And then the fourth page, which was actually the very last page I did on the month, was this page here, this gorgeous magic cat. I have got a little bit of lighting issues here, so hopefully it's not too bad. Lots of pencil shine. So this one I did use Inktense in the background again and Pablos to colour the actual page. Quite a bit of Posca to outline and create the back glow of the cat and the glow from the candles. And then a gold metallic gel pen for all the stars and stickles on the moon. And then I added in like some extra dots and stuff just to fill out that purple sky a bit more. But yeah, I really liked how this one came together. It was really fun again to play with lighting effects on such a simple page. Really enjoyed it. So yeah, those are my 4 pages in Furballs by Diane Defoe. Should really learn how to pronounce that or put the translation in here so I actually have it. But it is an art therapy book. It is gorgeous and I am absolutely adoring working in it. The next book I have was also a gift from the beautiful Emily. And that is Europa by Rita Berman. I did bring these ones because they're smaller. They fitted into my suitcase really well. So it made it, they were also new and I wanted to work in them, but they were also small and they fit in really, really easily. So yeah. So I did my first ever double page. Well, I did, let me start this again. I did 2 pages in here. They are 2 single spreads, but I did them as a double page. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm also a little brain spoony dead right now. But I did this London spread with the London news and a cup of tea. So I used the same colours and the same materials across both pages. And so we'll start with this half here, just because light reflect. And this one again uses the Pablo pencils. I was really using them a lot. I really wanted to play around and try them out. So a lot of Pablos. And then there is a bit of Inktense and neutral Payne's Grey in the background that I turned into a watercolour effect. There is stickles on the items and a bit of gold and silver metallic gel pen plus a little bit of Posca. And then it's the exact same materials on this side. We've got the gold metallic gel pen and the stickles, the Pablo pencils, and the Inktense wash down the bottom. So they are the same colour palette, coloured the flowers slightly differently in each one, but I like it as a big double page spread. And it's really cool to have this gorgeous book. I'm excited to work in here some more this month. And then the third book that was gifted to me from Emily that I brought with me was, of course, Sirens of the World, I believe it is. And I did 1 page in here, which is perfect for Mermaid, which is this one here. So this one, I had a vision and then it kind of went askew, but I actually like where I kind of ended up on it. So I'm not too mad. It wasn't how I imagined initially, but it still works, you know? So this one I used Inktense again to base everything, and I did use a little bit of polychromos to shade. There is Posca paint pens to outline. There's also a bunch of my Deco Color glitter paint pens. There is a Liquitex gold acrylic ink, which I used to cover in part of the mountain where I had a disaster. And then I also splattered that everywhere to add to it. And I just, yeah, really wanted to do like a warm, sunny palette for this, even though it's like a cold winter scene. I don't know, something about doing a sunset just really spoke to me for this one. And I really like how it turned out. So yeah, really simple, but really effective. And thank you again, Emily, for these books, because they are wonderful and I can't wait to do some more in them. So the next book I have is Mythic World by Kirby Rosans. This one was a group page with Emily of eArt Studios, Cindy from Mindful Grift, Dana B, and Paula on Instagram. Dana is Dabbler D and Paula is Colouring Mum. And I will make sure I tag them down below, and I'm also going to insert a little slideshow of their versions of the pages too. Colouring Bumblebee was also part of this colouring group, but unfortunately I don't think at this stage they've managed to complete the page. However, I know Jess had a lot of pages that she was aiming for this month, so completely understandable. We all worked on the siren page in here, and I love all the different ways that they have coloured it in. Some of us used the information at the back of the book, and some of us made up our own schemes and colours for it, and that's really cool to see. And it was a really inspiring group to be a part of, and it helped me get motivated to work in this book, which is awesome because I need to do more in Mythic World. But this is my version of the page. So I used Inktense to base and then Polychromos to shade. I also pulled out my Staedtler Tri-Plus fine liners to colour in all these tiny little flowers and tiny little details, because I was like, screw doing that in pencils. There is a tiny bit of gold metallic for the jewellery. And then you can see the stickles on her body. Originally, I was planning on actually putting the Mod Podge Extreme glitter on the background, on the water. But I really just could not be bothered putting it in all these tiny little spaces when I finished it. This one took me almost all month. I was trying to get this one done before I left on holiday, so I didn't have to bring the book and could bring something else, but I did not get there. So I finished this one pretty close to the end of the month, and by the time I was about done with all the shading work and going to apply the glitter, I was just like, screw it, and just applied it to her body. But I do like how it worked out. Like, she's got that beautiful shimmery reflect, and she looks like she's ready to seduce some men down and steal their souls. So that is Mythic World by Kirby Rosans. And then I have Mythomorphia, and I have a feeling I'm actually going to have to move the camera for this one. Did not think of that. Right, enjoy a very zoomed out version at the moment. I'm on a very different setup to where I usually work, so bear with me. But I actually did 2 double page spreads in Mythomorphia this month, which is super duper exciting. I am so glad to be getting back into this book. And a big reason for that is because of the wonderful Cindy of Mindful Griff. So we buddied up to complete this double spread here again for Mermaid. And this one was a live streamed page, so you can actually watch my entire process if you go to the live tab on my YouTube channel. There will be all the VODs of me working on this spread, and you'll be able to see the full process. I'm going to insert Cindy's wonderful spread here. I love the use of bright colours and the way that she's done that complementary tones between the 2 pages and just the vividness of the pages. And it was just so wonderful to buddy up with someone to get back into this book. So for this one here, I used a technique I have used many a time, which is where I use acrylic inks. So both pages were primed with Liquitex Clear Gesso, and then I used Liquitex acrylic inks and Kaisercraft shimmer sprays to do this sort of mottled marbly background. And then the actual shading on the page is done again with just the acrylic inks. And I put a little bit of stickles in there, just like mottled into the background, just so there's like a little bit of a reflect in the water. Didn't go too crazy with the stickles, but there's definitely a bit of stickles. And I ended up purchasing a couple of new bottles of colours of the Liquitex acrylic inks because I really enjoy them. I really enjoy this process every time I do it, but I really wanted to work with a certain colour palette, so I had to expand a couple of my colours to do so, but I'm very glad that I did because this Hippocampus and Leocampus are fabulous, and I loved how they worked out in the end. And it's also wonderful to be back in Mythomorphia working towards completing this book. And Cindy and I have actually arranged to do monthly buddies in this book, and we may even aim for 2 spreads a month in this book because we both want to complete or get very far into Mythomorphia before Kirby's new book comes out next year. So yeah, there will be a few more Mythomorphia spreads coming up. So we've already chosen a double page spread that we're going to work on for this month, plus I'm going to work on an existing whip in here, and they're going to work on a page that I have already done because we've worked out what pages we have each done and what we both have left and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so expect a few more Mythomorphia coming up. And then the other spread that I did in here was a little deal I made with myself because I meant to finish off my whips first, but I really also wanted to do the Hippocampus and Leocampus for Mythomorphia, for Mermaid. So I also allowed myself to just finish off one of my whips, and the other one will be completed this month. But I finally finished off the Rose Unicorn page. Now, this one was a bit of an experiment page. I just wanted to try out a few different techniques. It is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and I realize that, but I like how it turned out. So that's the main thing. So again, this does use the Liquitex Clear Gesso for the prepping of the pages, and then acrylic inks to do the mottled background. And I wanted to do almost like tie-dye, so it's pinks and purples and yellows and blues, really bright vivid colors. And then I went over all the lines of the Rose Unicorn with Posca in the pink and the green, the blue for the mane, and the gold for the armor. And then I also did white for the body itself, but then I also wanted to sort of make the body a little bit more solid, so I did use a little bit of gouache that I watered down to just fill in this and just give it a little bit more opacity. And then I felt like it still needed more, so I pulled out the Kaisercraft shimmer sprays and also some new shimmer sprays that I've got, and I cannot... Delusions is the brand, so I pulled those out and I spritzed those around the corner. I used stickles and a purple glitter paint pen to just block out this fairy and make it a little bit more obvious. And then I also pulled out a star stencil and Art Deco shimmer iridescent paint, so it's got like a yellow to blue reflect, and I applied those to all of the corners. So yeah, it's a very mixed media approach page, and it's very graphic, and I know it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I love how it turned out. I had this weird idea for a while, and so I just really want to experiment with doing it, and I'm so glad I did. And like, I know I have this image in one of my double ups of Kirby's books, because I have a copy of each of his books, so I know this Rose Unicorn's in at least one of those other books. So I have another variant of this. I could colour it normally if I wanted to, or I could go wild and do this again and just chuck everything at a page again. You know, colouring's about having fun, and sometimes that means throwing all the media at a page. So yeah, those were my 2 pages in Mythomorphia, which by the way has now completely fallen apart, so we have to use a hair tie to kind of keep this thing together now. So I'm just going to very carefully move this one off the desk. And then the last book to show you this month is Alien Worlds. Are we surprised? I adore Alien Worlds, and a big part of that is because of the amazing Alien Worlds group that has been created by Happy Catastrophe, Candice. We have grown so much this month. I believe we're at like 22 people now. I'm gonna just insert a little slideshow here of everyone that's in the group and all their links of their Instagram, as well as those that have YouTube channels, will be down below. Please go check them out. They are an amazing group of people, and it has been so inspiring to get to know all of them, to see all their amazing coloring pages, but also just getting to meet them and talk with them. And yeah, waking up to like 200 messages. Normally I get very overwhelmed by social media, but it's very lovely. It's really wonderful. And yeah, there was quite a few pages done this month. So every month I do put up a little slideshow of everything that has been completed this month by all our data explorers. So I'm going to insert a little slideshow here of all the beautiful pages. See, they are absolutely stunning. I am so inspired and super excited to get to a lot of these pages because of course a lot of people are starting from the start and I still have to go back and do these pages, so I'm like really keen to get in here and do these starting pages because of course I started with the Solar Giant and the Apex Predator, which is what we did last month. This month, however, we completed off Forest Intelligence, and this one was also live streamed on my channel, so you can check that out by checking out the live tab of my YouTube channel. And yeah, it is I really love how this one turned out. I had such a strong vision for this one initially because I had established a lot of the colours previously on these 2 pages. I knew the sky would be red, I knew the trees would be pink, I knew would have pops of blues in the plants and a little bit of reddy orange. And so I was trying to figure out how I would make your eye go here because I wanted it all about this majestic creature. And so that is where I was like, well, if we frame the head with dark purple and have it yellow and have all the little flying creatures also be yellow, it's just going to frame her in such a glorious way that it's really going to just pop. Because the back of the book talks about how there is telepathic communication between these flying plants and this forest intelligence creature, and then they use their roots dug through the planet to communicate around the planet and sense what's going on. So that is also why I created a little bit of a glow around the outside of the creatures, just to sort of indicate those vibrations from the communication. So yeah, this has been worked in the exact same way as the previous 2 pages. Inktense for the base, polychromos for shading. There's also a little bit of Pablo for the glow around the outside of these creatures. There is Stickles for the glitter in the sky. There is Posca paint pens to do a lot of outlining and highlighting, and there's also a little bit of gold metallic gel pen and purple glitter paint pen for the details on the forest intelligence creature. So yeah, I am in love with this book and I'm so excited to carry on. I'm not sure if I'm going to jump to this one or go back to the double page spread. I'm leaning towards this one just so I can continue on with the same color palette while it's fresh in my brain, because this is such a zoom in. The book describes about how it's creatures that crawl around the top of the trees. So we're zooming into the top of the trees, which makes me think we're going to be doing a lot of purples here for the top of the trees, since my trees are purple. The top of the trees anyway, the trunks are pink. Kind of follows this. So it might have a slightly different color scheme, like still tying in but slightly different. I've still got to figure that out, so my inclination is to actually go back to this double page spread, finish that off, and then maybe we'll even go a bit wild and also do the arrival to the planet as well. We'll see. But yeah, that is everything that I completed in the month of May for Mermaid. So, quick stat review, because I already know this video is ridiculous. As I said, this was my biggest colouring month ever, completing 37 pages, which is huge for me. Most months I do a lot of colouring. I usually average around 20 pages, so almost double is huge. However, for me, colouring is my mental wellness activity, and I obviously needed a lot of colouring this month. It happens. Please don't judge yourself on how many pages you produce, because it is not a numbers game. The only reason I track this is because of YouTube. At the end of the day, as long as you are producing what you need to produce, that might be that you don't even complete a page in a month. You start 50 pages. You only do one solid page, or maybe you do 200 pages. But they're all just quick little scribbles. But that's what you needed to do. It's all valid colouring. So please don't look at this number and go, ah. And then the other things to note. So we have had a little bit of socials increase. Thank you to everyone that follows me. I just track that for me because I like seeing it. But the big thing is, of course, the work in progress total and the work on the shelf totals. So these are my goals for the year: get my work in progress list down and to work in more unworked books. So my work in progress list previously had 15 pages on it. We completed one of those, which was the Mythomorphia Rose Unicorn page. But of course we created one with that Disaster Mermaid book. So we end on 15. So no change again. That's okay. We did an increase. And then for books. So because I was gifted some books, I brought the Monster High Activity book. I scored 3 second-hand books and then 2 digital books. I actually ended up putting 9 new books into my collection for a total of 248 books. However, I worked in 20 unworked books this month, which is it's over 50% of what I worked. So another really great month for working in unworked books. which now brings my worked total to 58.1%, which is an increase from 51.9%. So we are so close to getting into 60% of my shelf worked, and my unworked total is now 41.9%. So yeah, we're getting really, really close to getting this into the 60s and getting this into less than 30%. I kind of was thinking in my head I would like to have 3/4 of my shelf worked, but considering we've gone from the start, which was 1/4 of my shelf worked, to halfway through the year being almost at 60%, I think I can push a bit beyond 3/4 or 75% of my shelf worked. Like, I think I can go even a bit higher. So yeah, I am very excited for the month of June and what we produce. It's gonna be interesting. I'm here for a while. I have very limited books, so there's going to be a lot in the same books, which is a great opportunity for me to churn out a lot of work. I also have some original art that I'm trying to do this month. A few different things planned up. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this ridiculously long video. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, any comments, please let me know down below. I love hearing from you. I would love to hear what your favorites were, if there's anything you'd like me to explain in terms of techniques, and just how you're doing. How are you? How was your month? I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye!